Hello, and welcome to Modern Skills in English. Today, we're exploring something everyone experiences, but nobody really teaches us how to handle: dealing with difficult people.
I already feel stressed just hearing the topic. When I know I have to talk to someone who is always negative or always critical, my stomach just tightens. I feel like I only have two options: argue back and make things worse, or just stay quiet and feel terrible. I spend hours after just replaying the conversation in my head, thinking of all the things I should have said. Why is it so hard just to keep your peace?
That's a powerful question mark. And most of us believe the answer is in finding the perfect words to change the other person's mind or to make them stop. We think the problem is the difficult person.
Isn't it? If they weren't being difficult, there would be no problem.
That sounds reasonable, but it places all the power in their hands. The real problem isn't their behavior. It's the belief that we are required to fix it. The real reframe is this: your goal is not to manage them. It's to manage yourself.
I'm not sure I understand. If someone is yelling at me, how is that about managing myself?
Let's start with the first most common trap. When someone is critical or negative towards us, our immediate instinct is to think, this is about me. I've done something wrong.
Yes, exactly. It feels personal because it is personal. They're talking to me about me.
It feels that way, and that feeling is what makes us defensive. We want to protect ourselves, so we either attack back or we shut down. But this reaction is based on a false assumption. It assumes their behavior is a true reflection of our worth.
But what else could it be?
It could be a reflection of their own stress, their own fears, their own habits. Think of it like this: you can't control the weather. If it starts raining, you don't stand outside and argue with the clouds. You get an umbrella. A difficult person's mood is like their own internal weather. It's not about you. The new way to think is this: don't absorb their weather, just observe it.
Observe it? Like I'm a scientist watching an experiment?
Exactly. You are just gathering information. The information is, this person is currently creating a storm. When you see it this way, their words become less of a personal attack and more of an event happening outside of you. Your thinking can become more impersonal.
So if my project partner says, this idea is terrible, it will never work, I shouldn't immediately defend my idea?
Not immediately. Your first step is to just observe. Information. This person is communicating with a lot of negative energy right now. See the difference? You haven't absorbed the criticism, you've simply noticed it. This small pause is where you get your power back.
Okay, I can see how that creates a little space, but the problem is still there. They still think my idea is terrible. I can't just observe them forever.
You're right. That leads to the second turning point. Most of us believe the goal of a difficult conversation is to reach an agreement. We think we have to convince them that we are right.
Of course. That's how you solve the problem. You show them why your idea is actually good, and then they agree.
And how often does that work with a truly difficult person?
Almost never. It just turns into a long, draining argument. They just repeat their position louder.
Exactly. Because trying to force an agreement only creates more resistance. So we need to change the goal. The new goal is not agreement, it's clarity. Your job is not to make them agree with you. Your job is to make your own position understood, calmly and clearly.
What does that actually sound like?
Let's use your example. Your partner says this idea is terrible. The old way is to argue, no, it's not, it will work because of X, Y, and Z. The new way, the clarity-focused way, might sound like this: I hear your concern that this might not work. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to explain my thinking behind it so you can see the full picture.
That sounds very calm, but I'm not sure it would work. They might just interrupt me.
They might, but notice what you did. You didn't argue. You first showed that you heard them. When you recognize someone's feeling, even if you don't agree with their point, you validate their experience. After that, you are not asking for permission. You are stating your intention. I'd like to explain. This isn't aggressive, it's simply confident and clear. It's an assertive way to hold your space in the conversation.
So I'm basically saying, whether you agree with me or not, I am going to make sure my point of view is heard.
Precisely. You are taking responsibility only for your own communication, not for their reaction. This brings us to the third turning point, which is perhaps the most practical. the belief that we have to come up with the perfect response in the moment.
Yes, this is the worst part. My mind goes blank, or I say something clumsy and make it worse. The pressure is huge.
Because we're relying on our emotional brain in a moment of stress, and that part of our brain is not very creative or logical. It's designed for fight or flight. The solution is to not rely on your brain in that moment. Instead, rely on a script.
A script? Like an actor?
Sort of. It's a few simple, neutral phrases you have prepared in advance. They are your conversational tools. They help you pause the action without escalating it.
What kind of phrases?
Imagine someone is being very critical and demanding. Instead of defending yourself, you can use a script like, "That's a lot to think about. I need some time to consider that properly." Or, "I understand this is important. Let me get back to you on that." Or even, "I hear your frustration."
I need some time to think about that. I like that one. It feels honest. It buys you time.
It does more than that. It signals that you are taking them seriously, but on your own terms. It prevents you from giving an emotional, instant reaction. A simple phrase like this is the fastest way to de-escalate a tense situation. These scripts help you stop reacting from emotion and start responding with intention. They help you become emotionally detached from the outcome of the conversation.
That makes sense, but it still feels hard. If this is true, why do even good students, smart people, still struggle so much with this?
It's because we are taught from a young age that social harmony is the goal. We are taught to be polite, to avoid conflict, to make people feel comfortable. These are good intentions, but when dealing with a chronically difficult person, those rules don't work. Trying to create harmony with someone who thrives on discord is like trying to build a sandcastle in a storm.
So this all sounds good in theory, Sarah, but what if it's someone with power over you, like a teacher or a boss, or a family member you can't avoid? If I try to be assertive or detached, they might get even more angry. They might think I'm being cold or disrespectful. It feels risky.
That is the most common fear, and it's completely understandable. The key is that these techniques are not about being cold, they are about being calm. Being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. It means communicating your own boundaries with respect. Let's take the boss example. Imagine your boss gives you critical feedback in a very harsh way in front of others.
I'd be embarrassed. I'd probably just nod and say okay while feeling terrible inside.
That's the passive response. The aggressive response would be to argue back, but the calm, assertive response, using our system, looks different. First, you observe. You don't absorb. You think, my boss is communicating with high intensity. This is their weather, not my identity. You stay impersonal.
Okay, so I'm not thinking I'm a failure. I'm thinking my boss is upset.
Exactly. Second, your goal is clarity, not agreement. You don't need to prove them wrong right now. You just need to manage the situation. Third, you use a script, a respectful one. You could say, "Thank you for the feedback. I take this very seriously. I'd like to discuss it with you privately later to make sure I fully understand." Ah, so I'm not fighting, but I'm also not accepting the disrespect. You're moving the conversation to a better place. You are. You validate their point, "I take this seriously," while setting a boundary, "I'd like to discuss it privately." You de-escalate the public tension while respecting your own need for a proper conversation. It all works together. You observe their state, you clarify your need, and you respond with a calm script. It's a single, simple system.
Okay, so I stop trying to control or fix them. I just watch what's happening, like a scientist. My goal becomes just to state my own position clearly but kindly, and if it gets too intense, I have a simple, pre-planned sentence that lets me press pause. It's really about protecting my own energy, not winning a fight.
You've captured it perfectly. Your peace is your responsibility. You can't stop their reign, but you can always decide whether or not to stand in it.
So being assertive isn't about being loud. It's just about being clear. And becoming detached doesn't mean I don't care. It just means I don't let their emotional weather become my own.
That's a wonderful way to put it. You can't control their words, but you can refuse to let those words define your emotional state. Your response should always aim to de-escalate the conflict, not to win it. You know, it's strange. The less I imagine trying to control them, the more in control I feel of myself. I've always thought the goal was to get them to change, but it was never about them at all. It was always about me. And that is a realization that can change everything. To all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey today. If there's a specific challenge or a topic that you're thinking about, we would love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments below.